Family and Values. You're still on Galactic Television. And this morning, I told you yesterday you need to tell everyone around you to join us. We're looking at the difference between separation and divorce. To you, what is separation? Is it just about you leaving the house and just letting it go, or more to it? Then what is divorce? I shared a story of a couple I was counseling recently, and the husband told me the wife got a divorce paper without him being present. Kudos to everyone being called to bar this week, and we pray God will guide you and give you his wisdom to be able to do right and do well in all that you have trained and you have walked through the experience of life to get to. Okay, this morning, as we talk about the difference between separation and divorce, we have none other than Pastor Balami, who is joining us via Zoom this morning. Good morning, Pastor. Are you there? Pastor Daniel. Hi. Now we're seeing your Zoom. This thing that you're saying there now, you're supposed to be here because you don't want to bring Joy's fish. No, Joy will ask you for fish. Oh my God.
Yeah. How are you?
We're good. So you don't want to give us fish, that's why you are not here. Okay, it's one of those things. It's so good to have you this morning. But now, going to our discussion, the difference between separation and divorce. What's the difference between separation and divorce? What's the difference? Can you help us with that first?
Yeah, so thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. Separation and divorce. I think as we had it been discussed during the preliminary video, divorce is a permanent dissolution of a marriage relationship where the two parties have decided that, okay, we are not doing this business again. Let each person pack his bag and baggages and go his way. Back to square one. We started somewhere. We cannot continue. Let's go apart. So that is it. And divorce can be legally or it can be customary, whichever one applies. It's binding based on the agreement of the two parties. Separation, however, is usually a temporary one. And I heard you talking about counseling. And even in counseling, sometimes it is recommended for couples to separate. So we have the trial separation, for example, where the two couples are advised to stay away from each other for a period of time for them to reconsider the relationship. And then there is a permanent separation where the two are required to stay permanently away from each other, even though it is not dissolution. Okay? Permanent separation can be legally done, and most times it is better to do it legally, where the two parties will say, okay, we don't want to go the route of divorce, but I think at this time we want to be separated. Now, in talking about separation, there is an aspect of separation that a lot of times is not visible, and that is emotional separation, where two couples are still living together, they are still under the same roof, they still communicate, but emotionally they are separated, they are detached from each other. there is no emotion again, there is no feeling again, even though for some reasons they are still living under the same roof. And sometimes we call it the divorced marriage that is still living under the same roof, because most of the time, before going to the court, marriages are either divorced or separated emotionally. The courtroom is just where the legal proceedings happen. But marriages don't usually get divorced in the court. The divorce gets stamped in the court. Thank you.
Over to you.
Yes, I'm going to ask a very direct question. So my question is going to be, what is the distinguishing factor of divorce and separation? What is that very thing that separates both? Because we could say separation is more of a detachment, a temporary detachment, like what you said, emotionally, and something not really so solid and something really not so solid. But for divorce, it's more legal. So what's that distinguishing factor for both?
Okay, so both separation and divorce can be legal. Okay. Yeah, so you can legally go to the court and say we want to separate for a period. You can also legally go to the court and say we are not sitting in this marriage together again. Each person wants to go his way. Now, when you go into legal divorce, there will be, if there are children involved, there will be considerations for custody of the children. There will be considerations for the sharing of property. There will be considerations for who is keeping the children, who is visiting, when is the visitation. There will be considerations for responsibility of taking care of the children if they are still young, and so many other things. That is divorce. In separation, however, separations in most cases are intended to help the couples to calm down, to think through the entire process, to say, where did I get it wrong? And if we come back together, what can I do differently to make these things work? You know, when people are together, and especially when they are having intimate relationships in the form of sex, there is a hormone that is released that keeps the people binded together. When a separation is given, the level of that hormone in the body is allowed to come down, and the individuals are able to sit and think properly under where the influence on the hormone in their body is less. So if you are going to say technically what is separation, what is divorce, under divorce, child custody, sharing of assets, and all this happens. But under separation, normally there is discussions around child custody, but there is no separation of properties, there's no sharing of assets. Yeah, no, you don't share assets under separation, except if it is what we call a permanent separation, where these people don't want to classify their staying apart as divorce, even though they know that they are not coming back together. Now, it is also important to say that whether it is divorce or separation, the law permits the couples to come back together if they so wish. So divorced couples can remarry, and separated couples can come back together. That is provided for under the law. However, there are some religious practices that might hinder the coming together of couples, depending on faith or the belief of that religion. But I am not going into that in this moment.
Separation and divorce that actually is very, very touching or raises concern is the area by which, okay, the step by which the two just part just like that. And many will tell you, I just packed my things and I just left. Do we consider that as the right way of separation? Because you talked about traditional way of going through divorce and also the customary way of going through the judicial or legal way of going through divorce. Do we have the same thing in separation?
Yeah, okay. Separation can be actually formal or informal. Yeah. So informal separation is where tensions are high and one party decides to say, you know what, let me just give you some space. And one of the parties can be the man, it can be the woman that will decide to give the space to say, let's just give space for each other. That is informal separation. Formal separation can also be where, in most cases, formal separation involves the court, where court comes in to say, okay, you people have decided you want to separate. For what period of time do you want to separate? And what are the considerations to be given during the separation, especially where children are involved? If children are not involved, it's just a consideration for the two parties, the man and the woman. But if children are involved and there's separation, there will be need for the catering of the welfare of the children, and there will be need for the catering of the welfare of either of the parties that has some level of dependency on the other one. So yeah, we can have formal and informal. Informal is where one party just walks up. We call it informal separation.
Time for us to go for our word of marble. Pastor Daniel, you know the way we run this show, okay? So let's go for our word of marble. We'll be right back. And Pastor Daniel is still very much with us. So this is where we say happy birthday to everyone celebrating today, the 24th day in the month of September 2025. To the glory of God, you're seeing another year, another day. To all our viewers, all our lovers, all those who send messages, okay, respond on our social media platform. Thank you for following us. Thank you for being there. Thank you for your responses. And to a brother, yeah, Muniru Bajulaye, happy birthday to you. He is VIS person, yes. Happy birthday to you, sir. Many more fulfilling new age from Pillow Whispers. And also to Honorable Bayo Adefuye, Senator Adefuye's son, who is now local government chairman. Happy birthday to you. Many more fulfilling new age to you as well. We celebrate you, we love all of you, and we wish you all the very best. Now, after listening and going through our word of marble, do you have anything? Send it to us. Let's hear what you have to say. Now it's gratitude's time to ask. Is Pastor Daniel back? We're back. Pastor Daniel Balamin is our guest. He's a marriage counselor, and we're discussing the difference between separation and divorce. So, gratitude.
So I want us to solely focus now on the children, because we cannot overemphasize the effect separation and divorce has on the kids. So what are the emotional and psychological impacts of this separation, and how does it affect the kids? How does it really affect them? And how can we help? How can the society help them?
Okay, so before we look at the emotional effect on the children, probably the type of separation will also determine the level of emotional damage. As I said earlier, you have the trial separation where the couples want to face the relationship. There is the permanent separation which may lead to divorce or not. There is the informal separation, where one party takes a walk to give space for each other. There is even what we call physical separation, where the couples are just living apart, but they still communicate and they still interact. And there is what I described earlier as emotional separation, where there is disconnection between two people who are still living together. Then, of course, there is a separation agreement where the two parties write down an agreement by themselves. And there is the judicial separation, court-ordered separation. Now, the type of separation will determine the impact of the children. If the separation is just physical, for example, where the couples step apart, but they still interact, they still meet together with the children, the impact will be minimal. However, when you talk about permanent separation, or you talk about judicial separation, where the union is asked and two parties, each person like takes his way, the impact of the children will be much more, and especially if they are young. Adults may still feel the effect, but they would have outgrown some feelings and they will be able to manage their way through life early. But for children that are in their teenage, for example, or children that are even much younger, they become so vulnerable because the way family is designed, the mother and the father has a part to play in the upbringing of a child. And that is where a lot of times, sometimes when people start promoting single parenthood, they are doing a lot of damage to the society. Single parenthood is not God's original plan for upbringing of a child. Because if that was the case, God would have created it for man or woman to be able to conceive by themselves and take care of the child by themselves. But it was not so. Right from the beginning, it was not so. And so because of modernization, we cannot claim that it can be better now, because the plan and the purpose of God for marriage and family has not changed. Knowledge has increased, but God's plan has not changed. So you see children growing up and becoming wayward. You see some of them going into substance abuse. You see some of them going to issues like transgender. You see some of them developing all sorts of things, low self-esteem. You see some of them struggling with different things in life. Those are effects. Now, it happens to even children that grew up between the two parents. However, the effect and the impact is more among children who grew up with only one of the parents, because there is an emotional balance that the father and the mother brings, when especially they are able to agree on how they will handle their children. So yes, if you look at it today, divorce has increased. And if you look at it today, you will see that things like drug addiction has increased. Things like all this transgender issue has increased. Things like all these touts on the street, they have increased. All those, if you look at it, most of those are fallout of one party walking away. And one of the big ones is even how it affects the children when they eventually get married. Because they have not been able to grow up to see how marriage plays between the two parents, they probably will just have their own idea of what marriage should be. So they go into marriage with that deficiency, and a lot of times you see that the marriage is not stable because the child has not had the opportunity to grow up between the two parents, to observe how they solve problems, to observe how they communicate, to observe how they talk, to observe how they discipline. And so you see that a lot of the fallouts of early dissolution of marriages today can be linked to how those children were brought up. And if you check, you will find that a lot of times it is because they did not grow up between the two parents properly, minister to them the ways of life. So yes, massive, massive, massive implications of separation. And that is why it is not the right thing. Unfortunately, we have people who are not qualified for marriage who go into marriage. Because marriage is not for children. Marriage is for adults who are flexible. Marriage is for people who are looking for what will I bring into this marriage, not what will I take from it. So there is a lot of wrong mindset that people are bringing into the marriage, and those mindsets can be traced to how those people themselves grow up. So it's unfortunate we are in a generation where marriage dissolution seems to be applauded, but the consequence and the danger is on the generation to come. There will be continuous deterioration. Thank you.
So, Pastor Daniel, irrespective of, in as much as I don't really want to agree that all single, parenting always end up in the gallows or on the streets and, all wayward and lost. My next question to you is this: how can the people involved in separation or divorce prioritize their children's well-being? Because, like you said, when God instituted marriage, it wants two to work together and, raise generations, not one. But now it is one. Sometimes it may be circumstances. Some never even, wanted to go into it, but they found themselves in that circle. And the only thing they can do is, what would happen to my children? Someone who was raped, for instance, and who said, lie, I will never get married. We have people like that. We have people that the husband became an abuser or the wife became a husband, abuser. It comes with different, just like I was asking gratitude before we started. It comes with different, and we have people who intentionally said, I think there is no more love. The love is dead. We started, it's like a flower that comes out in the morning. And by evening, I think we have to go on their separate ways. What are the things? How can they prioritize their children's well-being so that they will also raise them in such a way that they will see reasons or want to have a different thing compared to how they have grown up to meet their father or their mother being separated or divorced?
Yeah, so okay, so I agree with you. It's not all single parenting that result to waywardness. There are some that by special grace of God, they are single parented and they grow up to be healthy, especially where it is an issue of widow. And even in cases of separation, there are few instances. But what I was trying to point is, if you look at the ratio of those coming from single parenting as a result of divorce and those coming from people who grew up with the parents, the level of waywardness experienced among those who grew up with single parents is much more than those who grew up with the two parents. Not that every single one that grew up with a single parent does not grow to be good product in the society. So now talking about how can the two parents work together. You see, it's like saying it's just damage control, really, because there is no how that there will be either separation or divorce, and it will not psychologically affect the child. So we are now talking about damage control. So the solution actually is to see how the parents can stay together. And as I said earlier, marriage was not instituted with any provision for separation or divorce, because the two parties involved in marriage are expected to have godlike character, are expected to have godlike behavior, are expected to have godlike attitude, are expected to have godlike life. So there is no how that such two people will live and cannot live comfortably together. Unfortunately, we are in a world where what I just described is not very common. We see people who even understand institution going into. I was counseling somebody the other day, and I said, look, most of the time, what people call marriage preparation is actually uh, for reception. People talk about, oh, what are we going to eat? What are we going to wear? That is not what you do when you're preparing for marriage. What you do is to say, how are we going to do this? What are we bringing to it? How are we going to resolve conflict? How are you going to handle money? How are you going to handle how this? And even with that, there will still be conflict. These are two adults who grow up under different conditions. Okay. So when we talk about how can we still help children, we are talking about how do we do damage control. Well, of course, one of the things is to make sure that children continue to be exposed to the two parents. Maybe they can meet at eateries or meet in parks where the children can still feel the presence of the two parents communicating around them, still trying to teach them things together. Now, it means there will have to be a need for complete selflessness to say, you know what, we are no longer husband and wife, but can we come together and give these children a befitting life? A lot of times, this does not happen because when there is divorce, you see that one of the parties can walk away completely. Or when there is separation, one of the parties can walk away completely. Sometimes the other party will even go and remarry. And it's somebody's wife now that you will be meeting in the park to discuss your children with. It's not somebody's husband that you will be meeting in the park to discuss your children with. So the permanent solution is to ensure there is no divorce or marriage. But the damage control is where the two parties are still separate, then they must create frequent avenues to meet with the children so that they can still help the children to see that, yes, even though we are separate, we can still work with you people to help you grow. But it's all about damage control. Thank you.
So I'll start by saying there's a popular saying, prevention is better than cure. So I want us to tilt this a bit and move our focus from the cure to prevention. Now, we have so many people out there that have seen these signs, they have seen the red flags, but they still go ahead to getting married to this person that is actually the complete opposite of who they want or who they can actually work with, because we all know nobody is perfect. But they see these obvious signs and still venture into the marriage that leads to separation or the divorce. So now, Pastor Daniel, can you tell us these key things to look out for as single ladies or single men, not to venture into marriages by mistakes that will lead to divorce or separation? Are you still there?
Okay, since Pastor Daniel, it's not there. Okay, I really love the fact that he was able to share that the separation, divorce, what is still marveling, what is still making me feel like, how possible, I think we need to discuss that. How possible can it be for someone to be divorced and you were not in court? I'm still going to, go deep and ask questions. We need to bring in a lawyer to help, men or women that their spouses must have practiced such behind their back and just present the documentation that we are divorced. Why is life this difficult? Wow. In as much as you cannot stay together forever because you both have made up your mind that it's better you go your separate ways, I think also the children need to be put into total careful consideration.
Yeah, that's so true. But the same question I was asking, can you, Mama Gen Z, advise us, the Gen Zs, what are these signs to look out for?
She's putting me on the hot spots now.
No, I really need to know. We really need to know. What are these signs to look out for that would not make us make these mistakes of ending up divorcing or separating from our partner? Because there are so many of us out there that still see the signs, still see the red flags, but still goes ahead because they're scared of being unmarried or scared of being looked at the way we don't want to. So
it's a tough question, but irrespective, the signs are always there. Like we have discussed on family and values time and time again. The signs are always there. What you will not be able to tolerate, what you will not be able to handle, what when this gets to a stage. See, sometimes we feel we can overlook certain things and he loves me by the time we get married. And there are some things, age, time, even before you get married, will tell you and can change you. When you're walking into marriage, after a while you have a kid. When a child comes in, there are some things that on a norm, the real you, the only you then
would not accept it.
But the moment a child comes in, okay, let me give you an instance.
Okay.
You're carrying your baby, trying to fix the pampers, and suddenly the child wheezes on you.
Oh my.
And you're about to leave for work.
Goodness.
If God wants to punish you, maybe it's a boy. Their will always come.
Yeah. And probably spills on
things like that humbles you. It humbles you because of the love for the child.
Yeah.
But when you are still single as a young lady, oh no, he stained my clothes. Are you going to go again and check your wardrobe? Your time is gone. And you need to be in the studio. And the baby just wait. Just look for another clothes, guys. Clear the baby, try to hurry up, take the baby, make sure everything is ready. You are still carrying that clothes that has to the office. But if you were still single, do you know you could have said, I can always change it.
Yeah.
There are little things like that humbles you. And so if your child can wee or poo on your clothes and you find a way to just clean it and get out of the house because you want to make money, you need to take care of the home, your husband is there, everything. There's little things like that. That's just tiny out of many. It humbles you. You tolerate it. So if you can tolerate it for your child, you can also tolerate a little for your husband. The only place is violence that I will not support. I will never support violence. Like someone I said, I have never raised my hand to fight before. I don't think I know how to fight. Now, consider me staying with someone who is a violent person, who will be attacking me violently. I run. Oh. I'm not even fair.
Exactly.
You are fair.
I
You
would
know, if
run.
somebody should hit you now, it will turn. It will
Yes.
change.
Funny enough, you don't even
But
need to
someone-
hit me. Once you shout at me like this.
But someone, you know, like me, you cannot easily see it because of my skin. But I love my skin. I love my tenderness. I have a dry skin, so I love everything about my well-being. My sanity is very important. So you just need to see it. You need to know it. You need to understand it. That this, I don't think I can stand it. You will know. You will see it. And you don't need to be forceful about it. Like we're saying yesterday, it's not how long. You all have a man assigned, dedicated to you. It may take a while. And if you are not the type that easily lets go of certain things, you know, to remove some withered scales or feathers around you, just for you to be able to walk into that space. Okay, I want to walk into a narrow road now, and I'm carrying a bigger car. How easy would that be for me? I'll need to be patient so that I don't scratch someone or someone do not scratch. That's the same thing you go through in marriage. You take in, and at times you also push out. But what you take in comes in more than what you push out. Because it makes you turn matured, it prepares you, it's like a total rebuilding of who you are from when you were single. So now that you have responsibility, now you are in a delicate and more you know, admirable state because you're married. You're not carrying missus.
Exactly. Oh wow, that's really eye-opening.
Okay, we need to run. Thank you to Pastor Bellamy Daniel, marriage counselor who joined us via Zoom, our guest. Thank you to all our viewers at home. Your parting word as we leave, because they are going to take us out of this place.
Spent. So yeah, Olori, what you said, Mama Jenzi, that was really, really eye-opening. So to everyone out there, you always know, don't lie to yourself that, oh, I could work with this. If you see the signs early enough, thank God for that. Just be grateful that you're seeing it and take a walk. Immediately take a walk. You start from him shouting to him eating you to him just slapping you, being violent, and it just goes out of hand. So please always know when to take a walk. Okay, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining. It was really entertaining. It was really insightful and educative as promised. So see you same time, same station tomorrow. My name is Gratitude Imokwede, your Gen Z host.
Okay, so tomorrow on our health talk, we're talking about constipation. Constipation. What is constipation? Have you ever been in that state when you are traveling and let's talk about it tomorrow. A doctor will be in the house or join us via Zoom tomorrow. We'd love to have you. If you have any question or you want to refer to anything, like we always want you to also send in your messages, your wishes to your loved ones, just send it to the number we always have on the screen, and it will definitely be worked on. See you tomorrow.